With trig identities, there are two identities at this point that you have to know for grade 11. Tan of an angle, you can rewrite as sine over cos. You also have sine squared theta plus cos squared theta is equals to 1, which you can rewrite as cos squared is equals to 1 minus sine squared, and sine squared is 1 minus cos squared. These two with the reduction formulas are very important to simplify identities and to prove that one side is equal to the other. Proving identities and simplifying, you need to know these two with all the previous work. Basic stuff that they can give you is 1 minus sine squared of 180 plus over 1 minus cos of 180 plus x. When they give you this, it's important to remember, take it one piece at a time. One has a different way you can write it, but you do not know, is it necessary? So you leave it as it is and you start with your fraction. Cos, sine squared of 180 plus x, you can first rewrite as in a bracket negative sine x, for 180 plus is negative sine. But remember, the square is for the entire sine expression. So you have negative sine x squared. Then you go and check at the bottom. 1 stays the same for now, and cos of 180 plus becomes negative because cos is negative in the third quadrant. So you have 1 minus, in a bracket, negative cos x. From there, you simplify first to have 1 plus cos x only, and then you go further and check what can you do. 1 stays the same for now, minus sine squared you can rewrite as 1 minus cos squared x, and 1 plus cos x can stay the same. Then you check again. 1 stays the same, minus 1 minus cos squared x is difference of squares. So you can do difference of squares factorizing to get 1 plus cos x, 1 minus cos x. Bottom one stays the same, and then you can simplify. 1 plus cos x and 1 plus cos x can cancel out, which leaves you with 1 minus, in a bracket, 1 minus cos x, which is left after simplifying. Then you remove the brackets. You remove the brackets to get 1 minus 1 plus cos x. That negative has to multiply with a 1 and with cos x. 1 minus 1 is 0, so your final answer will be cos x for this question. They can also give you something like this, where you have a minus in between. Before you get anxious because it's a fraction, remember, one piece at a time. Start with your first one. Tan of 180 plus x is positive tan x. Sine of 90 minus x, because of the co-ratio, becomes cos x. It becomes positive. Cos of 90 minus x becomes positive sine x because it is still in the first quadrant. And then you check for your second fraction after you've done everything in your first one. Only after that you go to your second one. Cos of 880 minus x becomes negative cos x. The bracket is only for the sines. Sine of 90 plus x becomes positive cos x because sine is positive in the second quadrant. When you get there, you check again. Tan you can change to sine x over cos x. It is advised almost always to change tan x to sine x over cos x when you are working with identities. Then you have cos x stays the same, sine x stays the same, but for your second bracket you have a negative and a negative, which becomes positive, and you have cos over cos becomes 1. Then you can go and check sine over cos times cos x. Cos and cos can cancel out, so you have sine x over sine x plus 1. So it becomes 1 plus 1, and your final answer will be 2 for this entire difficult equation. This work is not difficult. Make sure that you work step by step, one piece at a time. Make sure you have your cast diagram with you and your special angles. It'll make your life much easier doing this. They can also give you a numerical question like sine of 122. First thing you need to know, you need to make that angle an acute angle. And because of how the graphs work, the same answer, the same angle that you have can be at multiple different positions. So for this one, you have to check what will be the easiest way to get to 122. If you work with sine of 180 minus, you can say 180 minus 58 will give you 122. As with the previous question, if you have a reduction formula, the x that you have there will go to the following, which is why you do not say 180 minus 122, but you say minus the acute angle that you use. So you have to change to special angles if you can. If it cannot, it has to be an acute angle. You want an angle in the first quadrant. Okay? When you have your reduction formula, you check 180 minus is positive, so sine of the angle you use will be positive. Then you calculate that and you get your answer. Same if they give you a negative angle. First you check, that is negative. Your negative can move forward because sine of a negative angle starts in the fourth quadrant. And fourth quadrant, sine is negative, so negative in front. Then you have the same angle again, and you do all the calculations to get negative of your angle. So if sine 122 was there, the other angle, the other point where it would be 100, where you would get the same answer would be somewhere along that side. Same for negative. If you have negative there, it'll be the same answer on that side.